Hello friends, good morning to all of you. Welcome to English Minds. Today we embark on an insightful journey into the world of William Wordsworth, the pioneer of Romanticism and the poet of nature. If you are preparing for TZT, PGT, UGC NET, assistant professor, or any other competitive exam, this series is your ultimate guide. We have meticulously compiled 500 most important questions covering Wordsworth's life, works, themes, poetic style, and literary contribution, ensuring a 100% exam oriented approach. So stay tuned, take notes, and let's master Wordsworth like never before. Let's begin. In Wordsworth poetry, nature is often depicted as option a backdrop of human struggles, option B, a reflection of divine beauty, option C, a symbol of industrial progress, option D, a place for human isolation, option B, a reflection of divine beauty. Wordsworth saw nature as a divine of moral teacher. Poems like Tintern, Abbey, and the Prelude show nature's spiritual and transformative power. According to Wordsworth, the poet's role is to teach moral lessons. Wordsworth's poetry conveys moral and philosophical themes, but his primary aim was to express emotion and universal human experiences. Inspire political changes. Unlike Shelley and Byron, Wordsworth was not a radical political poet. Though he initially supported the French Revolution, his poetry later became more spiritual and personal. Criticized the political establishment. While he did criticize society in poems like London 1802, his poetry was not primarily political but philosophical and emotional. So, option C is correct answer. Express universal truth and emotions. Wordsworth believed poetry should capture deep emotions and universal truth about human life. Preface to Lyrical Ballads. In his preface to Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth stresses the importance of option C, employing simple language and themes. He wanted poetry to be a section of the real language of men, making it accessible to all. Wordsworth defines poetry as a spontaneous overflow of option A, anger and frustration. While some poetry expresses anger, London 1802, Wordsworth focused on joy, tranquility, and deep emotions. Ideas and reason. Unlike neoclassicism, Wordsworth poetry prioritized emotions over reason, emotion from intellect. Wordsworth valued personal experience and deep feeling over intellectualism. So option C is correct answer. Powerful feelings. In Preface to Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth famously defines poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings which come from deep reflection and emotion. According to Wordsworth, the poet must be deeply connected to option C, nature and the common man. Wordsworth believed the poet should be a man speaking to men and emphasized rural life, ordinary people, and nature. Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Wordsworth's concept of emotion recollected in tranquility suggests that option B, emotions are best expressed in moments of calm reflection. In Preface to Lyrical Ballads, he describes poetry as emotion recollected in tranquility, meaning that poets reflect on past emotions before expressing them. Wordsworth believed in the moral and spiritual power of nature, suggests that option B, nature serves as a source of healing and enlightenment. His poetry presents nature as a moral teacher, a healer, and a spiritual guide. The Prelude, lines written in early spring. Nature should be controlled and shaped by human beings. No, nature. He opposed industrialization and believed in harmony between man and nature. Nature is indifferent to human experiences. No, Wordsworth saw nature as deeply connected to human emotions and morality. Tintin Abbey. Wordsworth's poetic philosophy is most aligned with which of the following movements? Option A, Neoclassicism. Neoclassicism poets like Pope and Dryden focused on reason, order, and classical ideas, which Wordsworth rejected. Realism. Realist writers like Dickens and George Eliot focused on society and real world condition, which is not Wordsworth's main focus. Modernism. 20th century in experimental and fragmented, unlike Wordsworth's natural and emotional approach. Then option B is correct answer. Romanticism. Wordsworth is a central figure in Romanticism, emphasizing emotion, nature, and individual experiences. William Wordsworth's religious beliefs can best be described as option C, pantheistic. Wordsworth saw God in nature, a key belief of in the pantheism. Tintern Abbey, the Prelude. Wordsworth's view of nature is closely tied to his belief in option A, God omnipresence and divine creation. Wordsworth viewed nature as a manifestation of the divine. Tintern Abbey. He believes aligned with pantheism, seeing God in nature, which philosophical movement had a significant influence on Wordsworth's work. Option C. Transcendentalism. His ideas of nature's spiritual power influenced later transcendentalists like Emerson and Thoreau. Wordsworth often portrays nature as option C, a reflection of divine presence and spirituality. His poetry expresses pantheistic belief where nature reveals divine truth. In his poetry, Wordsworth believed that the human soul can find redemption and solace in option A, social reform. No. Wordsworth moved away from political activism and focused on personal transformation through nature. Option B, political revolution. Though he initially supported the French Revolution, he later believed that nature, not politics, shape in the human soul. The pursuit of knowledge. He valued wisdom from nature over intellectualism, contrasting with Enlightenment ideas. So option C is correct answer. Contemplation of nature. Wordsworth's poetry emphasizes how nature restores the soul and offers spiritual redemption. Wordsworth's philosophical ideas were shaped by the influence of which German philosophers? Option A. Immanuel Kant. Kant's ideas on intuition, perception, and the mind shaping experiences influenced Wordsworth's belief that nature is the human mind interact to create meaning. Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy was individualistic and skeptical, unlike Wordsworth's spiritual and nature-centered approach. Wordsworth believed that through the contemplation of nature, a person could option B develop a deeper connection with God and the divine. His poetry, especially in Tintern Abbey, expresses a spiritual connection with nature, seeing as it divine. Wordsworth's philosophical outlook on life was most aligned with which religious ideas? Option B Deism. Deism believes in God presence in nature and moral guidance through natural law, aligning with Wordsworth's pantheistic vision of the divine in nature. Unitarianism focuses on rational religious belief, but Wordsworth emphasized emotion over reason. Hinduism. While Hinduism also sees nature as divine, Wordsworth beliefs were were more Western in their interpretation of spirituality. Calvinism, emphasizing predestination and human depravity, which contradicts Wordsworth's beliefs in personal spiritual growth through nature. In the Prelude, Wordsworth expresses a sense of divine presence in nature, suggesting that option C, nature embodies a higher spiritual reality. The Prelude describes nature as a teacher and a divine presence that shapes human life. Wordsworth believed in the wisdom of the heart, reflects his view that option A, emotional intuition, is superior to intellectual reasoning. Wordsworth emphasized emotion, instinct, and inner wisdom over cold rationality. Preface to Lyrical Ballad. William Wordsworth, Poems in Two Volumes, was published in option A 1798. It marks the publication of Lyrical Ballad. Option B 1800. The second edition of Lyrical Ballads was published in 1800. Option C 1807. Poem in Two Volumes was published in 1807, containing famous poems like Ode Intimations of Immortality and I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. Which of the following poems was included in Poems in Two Volumes 1807? Option Option A, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. This famous poem, inspired by daffodils near Ullswater Lake, was included in Poem in Two Volumes 1807. Although My Heart Leaps Up, although written around the same time, it was not included in the 1807 collection. Poems in Two Volumes 1807 marked a shift in Wordsworth's poetic style towards option B, focus on personal reflection and introspection. This collection contains deeply personal poems reflecting on childhood, memory, and the passage of time, old intimations of a mortality. Which poems in in two volumes reflects Wordsworth's thought on the transient nature of life and the value of solitude. Option C, resolution and independence. This poem reflects on the struggle of a solitary figure, the leech gatherer, and the fleeting nature of happiness, aligning with Wordsworth's themes of solitude and perseverance. The autobiographical nature of many poems in two volumes reflects Wordsworth's belief in option A, the importance of poetic imagination over personal experiences. No, Wordsworth valued real life emotions and experiences rather than pure imagination. Real life emotion and ex- experiences. The need of poetry to focus on political topics. He moved away from political themes after his early days. The significance of the poet's personal life. Wordsworth believed personal life and emotion were essential to great poetry. Then, significance, not insignificant. Option C is correct answer. The value of personal experience and emotional response in poetry. His romantic philosophy emphasized personal emotion, memory, and nature's impact on the soul. Which poem from poems in two volumes deals with the theme of the poet's relationship with nature and its healing power? Option A, The Solitary Reaper. The poem describes a Scottish girl singing while working in the field, emphasizing the power of song and memory rather than healing through nature. Option B, The Prelude. The Prelude is an autobiographical epic not included in the poems in two volumes. Option D, The Two April Mornings. Though it deals with memory and loss, it does not focus on the poet's personal healing through nature. So option C is correct answer. Resolution and independence. This poem reflects Wordsworth's struggle and melancholy and how he finds inspiration from the old leech gatherer resilience. It emphasizes nature healing influence. The poem Resolution and Independence in poem in two volumes is an example of Wordsworth's ability to option A portray the supernatural. Unlike Coleridge, the rhyme of ancient mariner, Wordsworth focused on real life experiences rather than supernatural element. Option B expressed despair over personal loss. While the poem acknowledges sadness, it ultimately celebrates resilience and wisdom, not despair. Create mythological narratives? No. Wordsworth's poetry was grounded in real life experiences, not mythology. Then option C is correct answer. Reflect on personal challenges and triumphs through nature. The poem shows how an encounter with an old leech gatherer inspired Wordsworth to preserve through hardship. Poems in two volumes, 1807, features themes of option A, social reform and politics. Wordsworth's focus has shifted away from politics after the 1790s. Option C. The struggle between man and machine. This is more of a Victorian era theme. Wordsworth focused on nature, spiritual power, nationalism, and patriotism. While later in the life he wrote patriotic poem, this collection is more personal and reflective. Option B is correct answer. Natural beauty, the passage of time, and self-reflection. Poem like ode intimations of immortality and resolution and independence explore the fleeting nature of youth, the power of nature, and deep introspection. William Wordsworth married. Option B. Mary Hutchinson. N.E.T. Whelan. Wordsworth had romantic relationship with N.E.T. Whelan during his stay in France, and they had a daughter, Caroline, but he did not marry her. Dorothy Wordsworth was his sister. She was a close companion and inspiration for his poetry. Sarah Hutchinson. She was Mary Hutchinson's sister, not Wordsworth's wife. So option B is correct answer. Wordsworth married Mary Hutchinson in option B 1802. Wordsworth married Mary Hutchinson on October 4, 1802 in a small ceremony in Yorkshire. 1900 was working of lyrical ballads. How many children did William Wordsworth have with his wife Mary Hutchinson? Option D 4. William and Mary had 4 children: John, Dora, Thomas, Catherine. John approximately 1803, Dora 1804, Thomas 1806, over. Catherine 1808. 3, 4, 6, 8. That's good. Wordsworth's wife Mary Hutchinson was option B, a school teacher and childhood friend. Mary and Wordsworth knew each other since childhood, and she had worked as a school teacher before marriage. William and Mary Wordsworth marriage was arranged by their families. No, their marriage was not arranged. They chose each other. They chose each other. Option C. Not a happy one due to constant disagreements. No, their marriage was strong and loving. Option D, controversial because of political differences. No, Mary shared beliefs, Wordsworth believes and supported his work. So option D is correct answer. A result of mutual affection and a long courtship. They had known each other since childhood and maintained a lifelong bond. William and Mary Wordsworth children included option C, John, Dora and Catherine. The relationship between William Wordsworth and his wife Mary was influenced by option B, their mutual love for literature and nature. Mary and William shared a deep appreciation for poetry and nature. Mary also had transcribed and edited Wordsworth's work. Dorothy Wordsworth, William's sister, had a close relationship with option B, William and often lived with them. Dorothy lived with William and Mary for most of her life and played a major role in his creative inspiration. William Wordsworth's wife, Mary Hutchinson, played a significant role in option A, managing their household and finances. Mary was responsible for managing the household, taking care of their children, and helping William organize his poetry. William Wordsworth's married life with Mary Hutchinson was marked by option B, their shared rural lifestyle and contentment. They lived peacefully in the Lake District and shared a simple, nature focused life. William Wordsworth visited Germany in option B 1798. 1795, William Wordsworth received a legacy from Russell Calvert, which helped him settle financially. Russell Calvert. In 1798 to 1799, Wordsworth traveled to Germany with his sister Dorothy and fellow poets Samuel Taylor Coleridge. 1800, Wordsworth had returned to England and settled in Dove Cottage. 1802, William Wordsworth visited France, not Germany. Wordsworth's time in Germany was spent primarily in the region of option C, Hanover. Wordsworth stayed in Gloucester, in a town of Hanover during his time of Germany. Which of the following events influenced William Wordsworth's visit to Germany? Option B. The French Revolution. The French Revolution 1789 to 1799 made England politically unstable, leading Wordsworth to travel to Germany for intellectual and poetic inspiration. Wordsworth married May Mary in 1802. His German trip. Wordsworth completed his studies at Cambridge in 1791, well before his trip. Wordsworth was never involved in the Napoleon War. So option B is correct answer. In Germany, Wordsworth was particularly influenced by option A, German Romanticism and its philosophy. Wordsworth was deeply influenced by German Romantic ideas, especially nature, individual emotion, and philosophy. During his visit to Germany, Wordsworth was particularly influenced by which German philosopher? Option A, Immanuel Kant. Kant ideas on subjective experiences, nature, and perception influenced Wordsworth's Romantic philosophy. After his time in Germany, Wordsworth moved to the Lake District in option B 1799. After returning from Germany, he moved to Dove Cottage in the Lake District in December 1799. The Lake District, where Wordsworth spent much of his life, is located in option D, North West England. The Lake District in Cumbria, North West England, where Wordsworth lived most of his life. Wordsworth's decision to settle in the Lake District was motivated by option D, all of the above. His desire to escape from urban life, his fascination with the landscape potential for inspiration, his connection with the local community. Wordsworth disliked the industrialization and urbanization city. The scenic beauty of the Lake District deeply influenced his poetry. Wordsworth was close to rural community, often writing about them. So his love for nature, rural simplicity, and poetry all influenced his decision to live in the Lake District. The Lake District is known for its option A, lush valleys, mountains, and picturesque lake. The Lake District is famous for its breathtaking landscape, including lakes, hills, and valleys. Wordsworth's time in the Lake District influenced much of his poetry, which often celebrated option A, the beauty and power of nature. Wordsworth's poetry is filled with admiration for nature, inspired by the Lake District. The Borderer by William Wordsworth was written in option A 1793. The Borderer, Wordsworth's only play, was written in 1793. By 1798 was focused on lyrical ballads, collab work Wordsworth and Coleridge. 19 by Wordsworth, 4 books by Coleridge. The Rime of Ancient Mariner is first book, and Tintern Abbey in last books. Total book 23. The Borders was originally intended to be a option A play. The Borderer is a verse tragedy written by William Wordsworth between 1796 to 97. It was his only attempt at writing a full-length play. Wordsworth composed it in blank verse. Verse tragedy written in blank verse. Unrhymed iambic pentameter. Following a tradition of Elizabethan and Jacobean dramatists. The theme of the Borderers primarily deals with option D, the inner conflict of a man torn between duty and personal desire. The play revolves around the protagonist, Marmaduke, and who faces a moral dilemma when he is manipulated by his mentor, Oswald, into committing murder. The play examines moral corruption, psychological torment, the betrayal, making this age correct. The Borderer was inspired by Wordsworth's interest in option B, the historical and cultural struggle of the Northern English and Scottish border. Wordsworth set in the play in the medieval period along the English-Scottish border, reflecting on lawlessness, power struggle, and moral dilemmas. He was inspired by historical conflicts and in the border regions. The border is set in option C, the English and Scottish border regions. The play takes place in the Anglo-Scottish borderlands during medieval times. The reign was historically known for its violence and lawlessness, providing the backdrop for the play's themes of treachery and morality. The Borderer was never published in its entirety during Wordsworth's lifetime because Option A. Wordsworth was dissatisfied with the play's quality. Wordsworth withdrew the play from publication in 1797 after a negative response from Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who criticized its structure and philosophical depth. Wordsworth himself later felt the play was flawed. Which of the following was which of the following is true about the border? Option A. It was a great success in the theatrical world. No. The border was never performed in Wordsworth's lifetime and did not gain recognition in the theoretical world. Option C. It was written as a moral lesson about honor and revenge. While the play deals with morality, it is more focused on psychological manipulation and moral conflict. Corruption than a simple lesson on honor and revenge. It was never completed by Wordsworth. No, the play was completed in 1970, 1797. But Wordsworth chose not to publish it due to criticism from Coleridge. It was later published posthumously in 1842. So option B is correct answer. It was heavily influenced by Shakespearean drama. Wordsworth plays follows a traditional of Shakespearean tragedy, especially especially in its use to blank verse, psychological depth, and moral conflict. The themes of betrayal and inner turmoil are reminiscent of Shakespeare plays like Macbeth and Hamlet. Wordsworth's intention for The Borderer was to create a work that examined option B, the moral struggle of individual caught in the throes of conflict. The central character, Marmaduke, is manipulated into committing murder, leading a deep psychological and moral turmoil. Wordsworth uses the play to explore themes of guilt, deception, and conscience. Despite its lack of publication, The Borderer was important because it represented option B. His experimentation with dramatic form of and dialogue. This play was Wordsworth's only major dramatic work, marking an important phase in his literary development. It shows his experimentation with blank verse and dramatic storytelling. The Borderer is an example of Wordsworth's attempts to option A. Write purely for entertainment. The play was a serious philosophical and psychological exploration, not just for entertainment. Option C, focus solely and religious theme. No, while morality is a key of theme, the play was not overly religious. Avoid any form of political critique. Wordsworth was influenced by revolutionary ideas, and while the border is not explicitly political, it does engage with power and manipulation. So option B is correct answer. Engage with historical and personal tragedy. The play is set in medieval England, dealing with themes of betrayal, moral dilemma, and personal tragedy. Wordsworth was also processing his own philosophical struggle at that time, influenced by his disillusionment with the French Revolution. William Wordsworth's early education took place as option C, the grammar school at Hoxton. Wordsworth attended Hoxton Grammar School and the Lake District from 77 to 1787, 1779 to 1787, where he developed his love for poetry and nature. After completing his education, Wordsworth first traveled to option A, France. After graduating from St. John College, Cambridge in 1791, Wordsworth traveled to France. He was drawn to the ideals of the French Revolution and developed a deep admiration for its principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. During the same time, he had a romantic relationship with Annie Valen, which resulted in the birth of their daughter Caroline. William Wordsworth's first major influence during his early career was option C, the French Revolution. Wordsworth's early career was deeply shaped by the French Revolution. His experience in France 1791 to 1792 inspired to him embrace radical political ideas were, which were reflected in his early poetry, including descriptive sketches in 1793. However, he later became disillusioned with the revolution violent turn. Wordsworth first published poetry in option A 1793. Wordsworth first published work as An Evening Walk and Descriptive Sketches. Walk and Descriptive Sketches. 1793. These poems reflect his early enthusiasm for nature and revolutionary ideas and were influenced by his experience in France. In 1791, Wordsworth spent time in France during option B, the French Revolution. Wordsworth lived in France from 91 to 90. 1791 to 1792. Witnessing the height of the French Revolution, he sympathized with republican ideals, and his time to France profoundly influenced his political and poetic views. William Wordsworth's early career was marked by his option A engagement with politics and the French Revolution. Wordsworth was deeply involved in revolutionary ideals during his early career. His radical political beliefs are evident in his 1793 poems and in his admiration for Republican cause. However, later became disillusioned, especially after witnessing the reign of terror. Wordsworth's early career took a significant turn when he met option A Coleridge. Wordsworth met Samuel Taylor Coleridge in 1795, and their friendship significantly influenced his literary career. They collaborated on Lyrical Ballads 1798, which marked of the beginning of the Romantic movements. William Wordsworth's major poetry collection Descriptive Sketches was published in option B 1793. Descriptive Sketches was Wordsworth's first major collection, publishing along with An Evening Walk. These poems were inspired by his travels with France and the Alps and reflect his early enthusiasm for revolutionary ideas. An Evening Walk, 1793, one of Wordsworth's early works, was written during his time in option B, the Lake District. An Evening Walk, 1793, was composed when Wordsworth was living in the Lake District. The poem describes nature in vivid detail. The publication of Lyrical Ballads in 1798 marked the beginning of Wordsworth's option B collaboration with Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Lyrical Ballads 1798 was a joint work with Coleridge featuring poems by both poets. Coleridge contributed The Rime of Ancient Mariner, while Wordsworth Tintern Abbey became one of his most famous works. The collection emphasized ordinary language and everyday subjects, laying the foundation of Romantic poetry. William Wordsworth's relationship with Annie Valen took place in option C. France. Wordsworth met Annie Valen in France in 1792. While he was there during the French Revolution, their relationship led to the birth of their daughter Caroline. But Wordsworth had to leave France due to political tensions and financial struggle. Germany, Wordsworth Germany visited in Germany 1798 to 99. But this was long after his relationship with Ellen Wallon. Wordsworth met Annie Wallon in 1793. Wordsworth met Annie Wallon in 1792 while in France, but their relationship continued into 1793 when their daughter was born. He had traveled to France in 1791 to witness the effect of the French Revolution firsthand. By 1795, Wordsworth had already returned to England and had ended his relationship with Alan Wallon due to financial struggle and political unrest. By 1800, Wordsworth had settled in Dove Cottage in the Lake District. Dove Cottage, Lake District. Annie Wallon was from option B, France. Annie Wallon was a French woman. She was born in Blois, France, and belonged to an aristocratic family. William Wordsworth and Annie Wallon have had a child named option D, C. Caroline. Wordsworth and Annie Wallon had a daughter named Caroline, born in 1792 in France. Dora was Wordsworth's daughter with his wife, Mary Hutchinson. Annie, the child, was not named after her mother. William Wordsworth and Annie Wallon relationship was influenced by option A, the French Revolution. Wordsworth and Wallon met in France during his visit in 1791. However, due to the outbreak of the French Revolution and political tensions between England and France, Wordsworth had to return to England, leading to their separation. Annie Wallon was a French woman who lived in option D, Blois. Annie Wallon was born and raised in Blois, a town in central France known for its historical and aristocratic connections. The reason William Wordsworth and Annie Wallon were separated was due to option A, his return to England because of the war between Britain and France. In 1792, Wordsworth left France intending to return, but the outbreak of war between Britain and France 1793 made it impossible due to worsening political relations. English men were considered enemies, and Wordsworth could not return to Anity and their daughter Caroline. After their separation, Wordsworth maintained a relationship with Anity Valen through option C, financial support for their child. Wordsworth did not maintain direct contact with Anity Valen for several years, but he did provide financial support for their daughter Caroline. In 1802, when Britain and France reached temporary peace treaty and Amiens, Wordsworth visited France to meet Caroline and settle financial matters for her future. Wordsworth's relationship with Anity Valen had an impact on his poetry, especially in his treatment of option A, love and separation. Wordsworth's poems often reflect themes of lost love, separation, and longing. Influenced by his experience with Anity, some critics suggest that poems such as Wondercore and Julia and Farewell Lines contains echoes of this period in his life. And Julia. Anity Valen is largely remembered in Wordsworth poetry in connection with option A, the theme of separation and loss. Wordsworth's separation from Anity Valen and their daughter Caroline deeply influenced his poetry themes of loss, longing, in distant love. Although he did not write explicitly about Anity, elements of his early emotional struggle appears in works Guilt and Sorrow, and other lyrical meditations. William Wordsworth was born in the year option B 1770. William Wordsworth was born on April 7, 70 in the Cockermouth, Cumberland, England. William Wordsworth's father, John Wordsworth, worked as a option B lawyer. John Wordsworth was a lawyer and worked as a agent of Sir James Lowther, managing his legal affairs. William Wordsworth's mother, Anne Wordsworth, died when he was option B 7 years old. Anne Wordsworth passed away in 1778. Wordsworth was 7 years old. William Wordsworth was the option B second child of his family. First, William Wordsworth was second of his five children. Option A, sorry, first Richard Wordsworth, two William Wordsworth, as we know, second child, third Dorothy, fourth John Wordsworth, and fifth Christopher. Christopher, youngest. Firstborn of his family, his older brother Richard was firstborn. First Richard, third Dorothy, and last Christopher. Wordsworth was educated at option C, Oxford Grammar School. After his mother's death, Wordsworth was sent to Oxford Grammar School in 1779, where he received a strong foundation in literature. William Wordsworth attended St. John College, Cambridge University between the years. Option B, 17, sorry, 1787. This is typo error. To 1791. Wordsworth attended St. John College, graduating for BA degree. The death of Wordsworth's father had a significant impact on his option D financial situation. John Wordsworth died in 1783, leaving behind a unpaid debt which led to severe financial difficulties for the Wordsworth family. The children depended on relatives for financial support, and legal disputes over inheritance made their situation worse. During his time at Cambridge, Wordsworth developed a strong interest in option A political theory. Wordsworth was deeply influenced by French Revolution and liberal political ideas. He initially supported democratic and republican ideas, believing in freedom and equality. Wordsworth's younger sister, Dorothy Wordsworth, was an important figure in his life. She was born in the year option A 1775. Dorothy Wordsworth was born on December 25, 1771. She played a crucial role in Wordsworth's literary career, keeping detailed journals that influenced his poetry. William Wordsworth's formal education was completed at option A, Cambridge. Wordsworth studied at St. John College, Cambridge in 1787 to 1791. 87 to 1791, and he earned BA degree. The child of is the father of man. Option B, My Heart Leaps Up. The famous line appears in My Heart Leaps Up 1802, a short lyric poem where Wordsworth reflects on the continuity of childhood and adulthood in human experiences. It expresses the idea that our childhood experience shape up our future selves. Ode to Duty, written in 1805, it about moral responsibility and duty, not childhood influence. The Solitary Reaper, a pastoral poem about Highland girls singing, published in 1807. Michael, a narrative poem about father and son relationship, published in 1800. Bliss was in it and dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. Option C, the Prelude. This line appears in Book 10 of the Prelude 1805, revised 1850. Wordsworth described his initial excitement about the French Revolution and the hope it inspired. The phrase captures the idealism of youth and the early enthusiasm for revolutionary exchange. London 1802. The poem is a sonnet addressed to Milton, lamenting the decline of English values. French Revolution. The line is about the revolution, but it is from the Prelude. The Excursion, 9 books. The long philosophical poem does not contain this line. Our birth is but a sleeping and forgetting. Option A, Old Intimations of Immortality. These lines are from Ode, Intimations of Immortality from Recollection of Early Childhood, 1807. Wordsworth expresses his belief and pre-existence that the soul exists before birth and gradually loses its divine knowledge and its growth. The world is too much with us. The poem critiques materialism and loss of connection with nature. We are seven, a ballad about child view of life and death. Tintern Abbey, a poem about memory, nature, and personal growth. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Option B, composed upon Westminster Bridge. These opening lines are from upon Westminster Bridge, September 3rd, 1802. Wordsworth praises the serene beauty of London at the early morning. The Table Turned, a poem urging readers to learn from nature, not books. Resolution and Independence, a poem about a wandering leech gatherer and resilience. To the Cuckoo, a poem celebrating the joyful call of cuckoo bird. Come forth into the light of things. Nature, let nature be your teacher. Option B. The Table Turned. These lines are from the Table Turn 1798, where Wordsworth urges people to learn from nature rather than books. The Thorn, a dramatic monologue about a woman's grief. The Prelude, an autobiographical poem about Wordsworth's spiritual and poetic development. Michael, a pastoral poem about an old shepherd and his son. I wandered lonely as a cloud. Option C. This is the famous opening line of the I wandered lonely as a cloud 1807. The poem describes a field of golden daffodils and their impact on Wordsworth's imagination. The Excursion, a philosophical poem. Prelude, autobiographical poem. The Ruined Cottage, a melancholic poem about loss and suffering. Melancholic poem about loss and suffering. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Option C. This is the opening line of the Wordsworth sonnet. Wordsworth sonnet, The world is too much with us 1807. The poem criticized materialism and the loss of connection with nature in the modern world. Milton, thou at this hour, shouldst being living at this hour. Option B. London 1802. Published 1807. The poem is a sonnet addressed to Milton lamenting the decline of moral values in England. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. Option D. This is the opening line is the Lucy poems. She dwelt among the untrodden ways 1799. The poem mourns a simple, unnoticed girl who lived in obscurity and died young. A slumber did my spirit sleep. This is the opening line of A Slumber Did My Spirit Sleep, 1799. Another Lucy poems. It reflects on death, immortality, and passage of time. Death, immortality, and passage of time. And last but not least, the This city now doth like a garment, wear the beauty of the morning. Option B, composed upon Miss Westminster Bridge. These line appears the in composed upon Westminster Bridge, September 3rd, 1802. Wordsworth praises the tranquil beauty of London in early morning. To the Cuckoo, a poem about nature and memory. Nature and memory. Tintern Abbey focuses on personal reflection, nature and nature. The Prelude, autobiographical and philosophical. The Prelude, 1850, posthumously published. Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. The mind of man is framed like even like a breath of harmony of music. So option B is correct answer. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. And this brings us to the end of our 500 most important MCQs series on William Wordsworth Part 4. We have covered his life, works, themes, poetic style, and influence, covering all aspects, ensuring you're fully prepared for UGC, UGC NET, TGT, PGT, and other state examination. Remember, Wordsworth poetry is not just about nature, it's about life, immortality, and emotions, and the power of imagination. Keep revising, stay confident, and trust your preparation. If this series helpful you, don't forget like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.